Hey guys, today I have a Radio Shack Realistic STA-64 receiver. Very nice looking receiver, even though it's kind of a lower end of the line. It's not a bottom of the line, but it's a lower end receiver. It's only rated 16 watts per channel. But yeah, I think it's a really nice looking receiver. I believe it was introduced by Radio Shack in 1977, meaning it showed up in their 77 catalog, which came out a year prior, and they always had the 77 stuff out, so it was likely manufactured in 76. And I'm actually pretty impressed with the quality of the build. I had a Sansui 221, and this has a better build quality. And the back is steel. The Sansui had like a masonite press board. Just the design of it. I just think it's built really nicely. Radio Shack didn't get a lot of credit by some audiophiles, but I think some of their stuff is built just as good, if not better. In this case, this might be a step above the 221, but it is just better built. It had a slip cover type case, not that three-sided stuff that screws on the side. This slips over the chassis and screws it in from the bottom with the little inset vent, and that is genuine walnut veneer, no vinyl. It's in pretty good shape, except for, of course, around the edges you're always going to have little dings and stuff. Take a quick look at the front. Your basic selection, AM, FM, phono. Your basic receiver controls. This is your speaker selector. It does have a quadravox. What it does, it has like the B speakers acting as rear speakers. It just takes the ground off and connects them across the positive output terminals. What that does is subtract each channel from one another, so mono signals cancel out and stereo continues playing, and out of phase signals come in stronger in the rear channels, and that's that matrix surround, not really surround, or matrix kind of false 4-channel sound. So that's how that works. Bass, treble, balance, volume, power, headphones. Pretty clean as well. I haven't cleaned it up yet, but it'll clean up even nicer. Well, here's the problem. This thing is sick. It's got all kinds of problems. From what I understand, it was used as a background music player in like an office. So it was the radio for the background music. And it just has tons and tons of hours on it. Like you can tell the bulbs are silvered and the plastic is yellowed. And this socket broke out. The heat over the several thousand hours or whatever have cracked and brittled the plastic, and when I was trying to get the bulb out, it just cracked off. So that would have to be dealt with. But that's the minor issue. What we have here, this is a quasi-complementary output type power amp stage with a, you watch my other videos, I built a amplifier, and I used a bootstrap capacitor. This has that as well. And, well, the outputs are shorted, dead short. And when they shorted, they took out the emitter resistors. These resistors are open on both channels. And that resistor suffered some heat damage. This is really burned. Exact same issue on the other channel as well. The preamp stage is dead. I'm not getting anything from that. Here's the phono preamp. I haven't checked that though. Power supply has some issues as well. That darkening of the board is just heat. You know, it doesn't really mean anything. But let's see if, let me get a light on that. You can see this resistor is burnt, and these are weird looking diodes, but this one, I'm not sure if it's blown and it has like a chunk out of it. I'll have to get the meter on that. This capacitor's just probably cooked. They really all should be replaced, but this one for sure is cooked. These capacitors are actually fine. They're power supply decoupling. Come on, camera, what's the deal? What happened here, camera? Anyway, yeah, these are fine. So, we got lots of broken parts in the power amp. To see why I'm not getting anything from the preamp. And we got power supply board issues. And have to replace all these light bulbs. They're all broken, burned out. And have to figure out how to get them out of there with the very fragile heat damaged sockets. Somehow have to replace this. Now, despite it being a very nice looking receiver, it's not really, you know, these smaller receivers don't have a lot of value, or, you know, some people like them and collect them, but they're not going to have the value as the higher wattage, larger sized ones. And I don't know if I can get anything out of it. I wouldn't keep it. I'm not into old receivers. I just like tinkering and repairing things. But this thing, unfortunately, I don't have any parts. Or as far as the transistors, I don't have anything to work. So I have resistors. I have to check the drivers. I did check these drivers. They seem okay though. And have to check the other side as well. But yeah, I don't know if I have parts. I really don't want to go buy any parts. I'll probably have to buy transistors. So I guess what I'm getting to is I'm not sure if it's worth my time to repair the many issues of this thing. Under the receiver here is the tone control board. I was calling that a preamp board, but it gets power from this wire, this red wire. The pin's marked B+, and I'm only getting 0.7 of a volt. Well, it just changed. But still, it's, you know, less than a volt. This has a weird kind of current limiting circuit. Across the emitter resistor on each channel, it brings it back here to a sensor. It's really a SCR. So when enough current passes through the emitter resistor, it creates enough voltage to turn on this SCR. And that SCR runs back to, I should say, the output. What it does is shorts the voltage going to the preamp board. So, or this tone control board really. So what happens is it cuts the signal to help protect the amplifier. And since a SCR, silicon controlled rectifier, stays on until you turn the power off, I guess it locks out the amplifier until you cycle power. I'm assuming that's how that works. A problem I'm having, I can't find a schematic or a service manual. I don't want to pay for a service manual. That's just another expense, unfortunately. But I thought that was interesting. What I might try doing is disconnecting both of those emitter sensor, or the sensing circuit across the emitter resistors, and see if that brings power back to this tone control board. Okay, I've clipped off these sense wires to each channel for the current limit circuit. It says SCR on the board. That's how I know it's an SCR. And I mean, what else? What other purpose would it be? And with those clipped, I'm now getting voltage to the tone control board. So that circuit was working. So what it's doing is, like I say, it's cutting power to this board when there's voltage across the emitter resistor. And because the emitter resistor is completely open, you get full voltage across it, and that activates that circuit. Okay, well, I'm going to end this right here. If I decide to continue with the repair, I'll come back with another video, but just take a look at the problems and what's going on with this Realistic STA-64 receiver. And thanks again for watching.